Hello there, friends. Now, two more things I want to discuss with you, taken straight from Article 2 of the Constitution. What are the powers afforded the president? Explicitly, according to this article, what can the executive actually do? And then, I think the founders would argue this was probably more important. What were the responsibilities, obligations, or restrictions on presidential power? Let's start with the president's powers. So the president is empowered by the Constitution to be able to negotiate treaties like trade agreements, military alliances, and things of that nature with foreign countries, as well as to handle diplomatic affairs on behalf of the United States, with the requirement that any treaties or formal legal agreements that the president negotiates have to be approved by Congress in the form of receiving a 2/3 majority vote in support from the Senate. Also, the president can appoint civil servants. As I mentioned in our first video breaking down major questions of the presidency, the president is given all executive power by the Constitution. However, they're also given the ability to delegate that power and give some of it in certain areas of policy or life over to officials who work for them as part of the federal government and exercise power on behalf of the president, not necessarily power instead of the president, on a day-to-day basis. Under the Constitution, the president is able to appoint ambassadors to foreign countries, judges, and the heads of federal departments, like the Department of Defense, the Department of State, Department of Education, or Department of Energy. But just like with foreign treaties, these appointments that give people vast control over certain areas of United States policy must be approved by a 2/3 majority of the Senate before they can actually go into effect. But that doesn't mean that the president can't alter the federal workforce all on their own under the Constitution. They can, in fact. They're also able to make appointments of lesser civil servants who work under individuals who do need to be confirmed or supported by the Senate. So while the president can't all on their own name a Secretary of State, they would, without senatorial approval, be able to hire somebody to work under the Secretary of State or occupy a special position within that department. It just had to be subordinate, working under somebody who did have that approval from Congress, okay? Beyond this, the president is given the authority to convene Congress and under very special circumstances to adjourn it, to end a session of Congress and send everybody home. But that latter power has never been exercised. For that matter, the president hasn't actually convened Congress all that frequently in modern history either. I believe the last time that they did was in 1948, when President Harry Truman convened a special session of Congress in the summer of that year.